welcome to the Dits on Wrestling podcast, part of the Project Dits podcast network, and a little bit of a change of pace this week. Just a little bit. Getting ready for 2021. Last week we kind of laid out our plans for the year and how the show is going to present itself, and last week was kind of the sayonara of previous DOWPODisms, I guess. We predicted the year in wrestling, and obviously focusing on the singular topic, but going forward we're going to be covering numerous topics, but I won't be doing that on my own because I have my regular co-host Anthony with me. Hello.
I was going to pretend that I wasn't here, but you did a lead-in that would not allow me to do that. So well done on your part, and hello.
Preemptive strike.
Well played. I was going to be like, how can I do something to throw him off? But the way you set it up to me, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I'm a seasoned pro. I would have continued on until...
That's why you're
that's why I'm the captain, yeah.
Acknowledge me! Greet me back! I'm doing well. Excited for... I mean, I know last week's episode was technically like the first of 2021, but it was more of a, this is the direction we're going in this year, and then some predictions and things to kick the year off. So that was really episode 1, but this is the kind of real sort of potentially first episode in this new direction of ours. This is kind of like the maiden voyage episode. I just thought of that now, and I'm really proud of myself for it because it's a sea turn, and this is a nautical podcast, so I'm really excited for that. Yeah, it's going to be a good time, hopefully, or it's going to be terrible.
It could be terrible.
Have a horrible 2021. We don't really know. It's kind of a toss-up in the air. Now, we think it'll be good, but we also think it'll be terrible.
Yeah, I like the fact that we've decided to do topical stuff and, trying to keep a number of topics throughout one episode rather than focusing on one, because, I don't know, some people might find it a bit... Oh, gosh, I was freaking talking about Roman Reigns an hour and a half ago and they're still going... Bite-size bits of content. That's what it is.
Bite-size dits of content.
Oh.
Yep. You're welcome. Check out that Discord.
Yeah. Go into the episode description and find a link to the Discord that you can join and keep up to date with all Dits on Wrestling and Project Dits Podcast Network news. Yeah, there's a free plug. That's an early plug.
Plugs are important.
Yeah, plugs are very important. We do have a number of interesting topics to cover this week from the week in wrestling. But one that you don't know about, because I like to put people on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot with something a bit thought-provoking, perhaps.
Oh, it's coming early in the show. Okay.
All
right.
So we're going to... Well, actually, before we do get into that, I do want to mention that this actually could very well be the last audio-only version of the DOWPOD. So if I can get the technology to work, and trust me, technology is not my friend.
Nope.
It's not.
It's definitely not. All jokes aside.
You do not know what goes behind the scenes when we try and record these podcast episodes.
This is a Bret Hart, Stone Cold, Steve Austin type of rivalry that is just, will span the ages and will never die. It's intense. Yeah. Dits and technology.
Yeah, we're going to try and go to video format as of next week, which we kind of thought about over the Christmas period, as we alluded to last week. So hopefully next week is when we pull the trigger and you get to see our, I want to say beautiful, but
pull the trigger.
I mean, you're pretty dreamy, but I might fall behind.
I mean, I expect that, but luckily I'm good looking enough for the both of us to really carry us through this thing.
And that's why you're here.
I mean, I'm the face, I'm the talent, I recognize it. And
you're the face, you're the voice, you're the personality. Yeah, I'm just here.
The inspiration. I'm the muse.
just a placeholder.
Yeah, you're just a figurehead.
That's me.
Yeah. But again, everybody has to play their role. Without you, I mean, I'd probably be even more successful, but everybody has a role to play.
So nice of you to say.
Yep. And pedantic.
I do love a good compliment every now and then,
Shallow and pedantic.
But that's hopefully next week. Of course, the show will continue in audio format, but it will just be ripped straight from the video. So there'll be some stuff that you're like, "Ha!
Look at us!
Look at us!
Look at us!"
There's a clue. That's a hint. It's a hint of what's to come. Not up in here.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you lost.
See, that's why I'm the captain of this show. But anyway, heading into, I guess you could call it a segment. You could call it a segment. We haven't done segments on the DOWPOD in months. Remember when that was a thing? Walk the plank. That was a segment.
Yeah.
Dits' laugh of the week. Oh, this is going way back. There was another one as well. It was like shout outs. I can't remember. It was like Dits' shout out of the week. It was so bad.
Man.
We've come a long way. Look at us.
Look at us. Yes.
I don't know why. That's just not getting old. Everyone else is like, "We just shut up. Just shut up."
I hope that people know what it's for, and they'll be like, "Why are they saying it?
Why do you keep saying that? It's really annoying."
I don't get it.
And they're the ones saying "not up in here," not us.
Exactly.
Not up in here. Stop ruining the show. But anyway, the first segment of today's episode is a Dits' question of the week.
Dits' question of the week.
There you go. We will have probably a little jingle next week, but that'll have to do. Podding on the fly.
Dits' question of the week.
Dun dun. See,
and then it turns into Highway to Hell. If we could get the rights.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to manage that.
Hello, AC/DC. My name is Dits. I host the podcast. I'd like to use a song of yours for a segment in which I ask my co-host a question.
And here's a link to my show, which I'm sure you'll listen to.
Look at us.
Look at us. Look at us.
Oh, man. Oh, we're stupid. Go ahead on
So here's the question for you.
Okay.
And it's not I would say it's not really deep because I kind of already know where you probably go with it. But so this past week on Raw, I know you don't watch. So this will be a Raw answer. Literally.
I stop by every now and again, but no, I have not recently.
Does anybody watch Raw these days? I know we hate on it, but it is bad. So this past week on Raw, WWE acknowledged that Drew McIntyre has contracted COVID. And you could say, well, maybe they're kind of forced to do that, considering he is the face of Raw. He is the WWE champion. He is one of the guys, so they were kind of maybe forced to do that. But my question to you is, now that they've kind of tackled the elephant in the room, which they haven't done since, when did COVID start? February 20, really? Like when it started affecting things within wrestling?
Yeah, it was.
I don't think it's been acknowledged. And maybe in the background just to say, oh, this is, we've got a global situation going on. This is why we're airing out the Performance Center. This is why there's a Thunderdome. But it's never actually gone, hey guys, COVID's a thing. Wear a fucking mask. Mm-hmm. So this was the first time I think they've actually fully acknowledged it. Maybe they were backed into a corner with it. Probably they were. But my question to you is, will WWE, now that they've tackled the elephant in the room, will they now begin to throw COVID into storylines?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say no. Here's where it's tricky for me in giving that answer, because WWE has done things before, in particular Vince McMahon, that are just tone deaf.
Yep.
And wrong and inappropriate. And so my initial thing with you asking me, my immediate answer in my head was like, no, not even WWE would be foolish enough to cross that line. But then I kind of took a step back and was like, well, they are foolish enough to do that. At this point, no. True. It is sad but true. Just the storylines that we've seen on TV, the things that Vince McMahon has said and done on TV. And then even again, like what pops into my head immediately is like the story that came out that Lita spoke about on her Twitch stream this week. You heard about that?
Oh no, do enlighten me.
Oh, when her and Edge did that. That was your time when you were watching WWE. They did like some. I don't really think I was watching then.
The live sex celebration.
Yeah,
I wondered why that popped up on social media.
She didn't
this
want
week.
it. Yeah, so she didn't want to do it. And Vince basically told her that if she didn't, she was fired.
Oh.
And I guess Edge and John Cena like went to try and talk to Vince to tell, because Edge didn't want to do it either. And Cena even went to talk to Vince to tell him that like it wasn't really like a good idea and that they were uncomfortable with it. And Vince just wanted it super bad and basically pressured her into it with the idea that like if you don't do this, you're fired. Which doesn't sound like a healthy work environment. But then again, through all the things that we've seen, now I'm starting to delve into like a larger thing, which I don't really want to do. But the WWE is a very interesting place in terms of like safety for one's mental being. And that comes from the top down in terms of how they operate and what they do. And you can never really throw anything out or cross something out in terms of like, well, Vince would never do that or they wouldn't think of that. I mean, Vince wanted to do a storyline where he was like, he impregnated Stephanie.
Oh
like,
my God. Yeah, I remember that.
Dude is off his rocker. So nothing's out of the question, but I would say no, because I just think that's not that they haven't done things that are also in extremely poor taste, but that would be an extremely poor taste for them to weave COVID into a storyline like that. Yeah, that's oof. But I mean, I would never say never with WWE, and I would never put anything past Vince. But for me, I don't know if they're brazen enough to dip their foot into that territory.
So that's the thing for me, because when I saw McIntyre's segment on Monday where he was talking about it, I was kind of like, this is a very relevant thing. It has been relevant for a very long time. It's very timely. It's very now. It's very as Vince would probably perceive it to be. And I was like,
it's a disease. It's a pandemic.
It's a pandemic. I was like, is he the kind of guy that would look at this? Because he has tried in the past to keep up with the times, albeit maybe not pandemics that are, you know, where people are dying, more like Twilight's a thing, let's do a vampire gimmick, you know. And I was kind of thinking, I think I wouldn't put it past him to spin this. I think that Drew McIntyre, obviously he does have COVID and they've acknowledged it is a thing. They aired it on Raw, his little segment. And I think they'll probably use that as something like very, very small. Like in his... Because as far as I'm aware, Drew McIntyre Goldberg is still going ahead of the Rumble. So if McIntyre is maybe out of sorts a little bit, you know, maybe Goldberg is like all over him doing his Goldberg thing. Maybe they'll throw that COVID line in there that he's been recovering and he's, you know, weakened.
I would guarantee that. I would almost guarantee that they'll mention it in terms of like, you know, he is, of course, you know, recovering and still coming back from COVID, especially if he loses to Goldberg. Then it's like, oh, well, you know, he was affected by COVID, yada, yada. But I would almost guarantee that the idea has crossed Vince's mind of like, should we put COVID into a storyline? I would guarantee it's crossed his mind. Yeah. Because, like, why would it not? Again, to your point, like, they want to be topical and hit on things that are trending and driving talk and eyes and views and listens and all those types of things. They want that attention. I would guarantee, not even almost guarantee anymore, I would guarantee that it's crossed his mind to weave COVID into a storyline. It's just a matter of what he thinks the risk reward is. Like, is it good enough in a storyline to outweigh the potential backlash and negative connotation there will be for it, and the view that he'll have in people's minds from the outside public of being like, oh my God, like that's in really poor taste. Like, it depends on what his estimation of the risk reward and return on investment is of it. And that I don't think any of us know, because no one can get in the head of Vince McMahon, because and I don't think anybody wants to, because it's a death trap.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to be in there. I'd never get out.
No, you never get out. I feel like it'd be like, I feel like it's like the cemetery that Harry Potter gets transported to in the Goblet of Fire when he grabs the cup from the Triwizard Tournament. And it's a port key, and then you're just in the middle of like this cemetery by like the old Riddle Mansion, and like Voldemort's there. I feel like that's Vince's brain.
Bruce Pritchard is there, like getting drips of somebody's blood and then
That's
into a cauldron.
Vince's
little baby.
Vince is Voldemort, and Bruce Pritchard is Peter Pettigrew. That's what it is, and that's what Vince's brain is like. And I don't want to go in it. Cedric Diggory is still dead there. My boy.
Oh, that's so sad, isn't it? My boy.
That's wild. Like he just Harry and Cedric come back from that cemetery, and everybody's like, "Yay!" And then finally, someone's like, "Oh shit!"
Oh, you got the music as well. Dun 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 dun. It's like, yeah.
Oh, look at their back. Oh, who what? And then just there's a scream, and then everyone realizes, "Oh shit, Cedric's dead." And especially at the time, like Harry was the heel in that tournament, and Cedric was the face in that school. And Cedric is dead, and his dad is quite not pleased. It's not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's pretty wild, and that's what this show is about.
Yeah, only this show could go from a topic about COVID conversation to Harry Potter
seamlessly.
Yeah. Seamless transitions and seamless tangents.
Yes,
that's the thing. That is the thing here. But so that segment came up on Monday.
Yeah, I would say it's crossed his mind. I don't think he's brazen enough to fully dive into it and make it like a storyline. But I would almost guarantee as well you'll get some throwaway lines there, like, as of course Drew McIntyre is returning from COVID. Oh, Drew just doesn't seem to have the energy in this match against Goldberg, and I wonder if it's due to him recovering. He's only 2 weeks, since he was diagnosed with COVID. How does he feel? Like little things like that for them to add into it. I could see that.
And I'm sure they did it with Reigns when he came back from his leukemia illness. I'm sure they did.
I don't remember if they did or not. I still remember people coming out and thinking that. I remember people coming out and thinking like, "Oh, this is all like a work, and he never had cancer, and Vince just did it to like pull him off." I was like, "Oh my god!" And see, that's the crazy thing, like, because that's terrible, but also like, is that really so much of an unreal thing for Vince McMahon to do? Like, I don't believe he did it, but that's like the ideas, like, that's the perception that people have of Vince McMahon, that he's a person that will literally do anything to get like a storyline and drive something. So you can never say never and put anything completely out of the question. Like you could be like, "Oh, Anthony, do you think like Roman Reigns is going to drop the title like to a live grizzly bear next week?" I'd be like, no, but there'd be a part of me that would be like, well,
maybe.
Like maybe Vince saw The Revenant.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, they're telling me there's a chance. Vince sees the movie The Revenant for the first time and is like, "I love this whole bear thing. Let's have Reigns fight a bear, but I want the bear to go over." Everyone's like, "What?"
Yeah,
Vince, we can't train a bear.
He would try. He would try.
We could train this bear.
Like a bear cave from hell match.
Give him $1 million. Vince, the bear doesn't care about them. He doesn't recognize the value of money. All right, $2 million. Vince, he's
not Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, he doesn't. More money isn't going to do it. But we got him from the same place that Brock lives, the Manitoba Woods up in Canada. Like he's not. Vince, Brock and the bear aren't. They're not the same. Do you think Brock is a bear? Brock's a bear. This bear's a bear. $5 million.
And there's the mind of Vince McMahon.
My boy. I want that soundbite. My boy.
You do it so well. Okay, noted. I will add that down as a soundbite for future reference.
It's always stuck with me. That's such just my boy.
Sorry, Felix.
Sorry. My condolences to the Diggories.
Yes. There you go. This is question of the week. Thought-provoking.
That was a good one. Good one.
We'll have another question for next week.
Oh, interesting.
In fact, you know what would be interesting?
It's a whole bunch of questions.
If we alternate. How about we do Anthony's question of the week next week?
Oh.
No. See,
yeah. Like
on the fly production.
Noted.
That's what we do. There you go. So my job coming out of this episode is to clip my boy, and your role is to find a question for next week's show.
Fair enough. I can do that. I can.
There we go. Now, actually going into the crux of the episode, I guess, some big news dropped from WWE this week, and very unexpected, I must say. Because not only did we get some WrestleMania news, and you'd imagine the WrestleMania news was coming, because we're obviously the road to WrestleMania. Rumble's in, 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, 31st.
So something had to be said about where's WrestleMania going to be? Is there going to be a crowd? These are always going to be the questions on everybody's minds, but they tackled that very topic and then threw additional information on top of that, and then a little bit of a surprise, which I wasn't expecting. So in a very, kind of like a sketch show-esque reveal, which I actually thought was quite refreshing, and I did enjoy. We had Triple H and Stephanie McMahon as like news anchors with Sasha Banks. Roman Reigns was supposed to be playing a character. That's the bit I absolutely love. Roman Reigns was supposed to play some bogus weatherman and just played himself. He's like, I'm not playing that shit. I just left it to Paul Heyman just to straight talk the whole thing. I loved that. But they revealed that WrestleMania this year was going to be essentially a rehash from last year, because of course we did get it, but we didn't get it. We're going to go with a pirate theme at the Raymond Stadium. Am I right in saying that? Is that what it's called?
Raymond James Stadium.
Raymond James. Close enough.
Yep. Home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, the pirate people. Pirates. So we're going pirate. WrestleMania is going pirates. Again this year, which I'm happy with because, pirates and nautical stuff and
we do
pirates.
record from a ship.
We do record from a ship, yes.
I wonder how many people, as soon as I said that and you said yeah, they were like, do they really record on a ship?
Really?
That's really cool.
Really?
As they travel to
We'll just keep that up. We'll green screen next week. The sea behind us. I'll just like pipe in some waves.
And Johnny Depp in the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Why is the rum gone?
Oh, you beat me. Oh, damn.
We're recording, Johnny. Leave.
Please get out, Mr. Depp. This isn't Pirates of the Caribbean. We appreciate your enthusiasm and your costume and the makeup and all the eyeliner, but this isn't what you think it is. For the 17th time.
Today.
But why's the rum gone? Today.
So that's the surprise, I guess, is the rehash of last year's theme. Because we were supposed to be going Hollywood this year, I believe. But they also threw in 2 other bits of information, which was the next 2 WrestleManias. WrestleMania 2022 is going to be from the AT&T Stadium, which I'm going to say it was WrestleMania 32 that was there. I might be wrong. I'm probably so very wrong.
Don't know.
In fact, I think it was because it was in Texas. And I'm pretty sure they had some kind of Texan branding or something like that for 32. 32 was awful, by the way. But we did have Shane McMahon jumping off a Hell in a Cell, so there was, I guess, the swings and roundabouts. And then WrestleMania will be going Hollywood, but not until 2023. But all of this was revealed this week, which was very, very surprising. You expect WrestleMania news, but not this much. What are your thoughts?
At first, I focused on 2021 because I was like, wait, they're going to go there again? And you and I spoke about this off air, but the reason is because Florida is a state of lawlessness when it comes to COVID, so they can probably have the most people there out of anywhere. And so they can still put some people in the arena, I would imagine. But I definitely thought it was interesting to go ahead and announce next year and the year after. But my thought with it is they're trying to get out in front of things and build up steam and momentum as we go forward into ideally a post-COVID reality. And so I think they're trying to get out in front and start to get back to having some semblance of normalcy, and maybe announcing things this far out is a step towards that, coming out of COVID and getting things back on schedule and then some, and allowing kind of taking things further and allowing people to prepare and plan and show like, hey, we're still relevant. This is what we're doing. This is what's going to happen. Build the excitement, build the anticipation. Look what we're doing. Oh my God, especially announcing it on playoff weekend, the second round of playoffs for the NFL. I think it was interesting timing, and I do think it was interesting for them to go out and go this far ahead and announce this WrestleMania, the next, and then the one after. And then again, just the announcement that this Mania this April will be in Raymond James Stadium, and I would assume will be in front of a lot of people, or at least a decent amount of people, which is the first really, I mean, other than AEW having some people here and there in the roster out in the crowd, which they've done for a while, and I think NXT has done that a little bit here and there. Mm-hmm. We really haven't seen wrestling perform in front of crowds in the United States.
I mean, the stadium's big enough that people could be spaced out.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to have any issues with that.
I just don't know. I don't know what the capacity limit is for Florida, but I don't even think you have to. I'm pretty sure you don't even have to wear a mask.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what like when I made the joke about like lawlessness. Yeah, I'm pretty like they don't believe in like COVID. Like it's not a thing there.
Oh,
it's been the worst hotspot of everything for COVID. Well, New York City was like the worst, and then it progressed down to the southeast of the United States and Florida in particular. Yeah, I don't think they really have restrictions or a lot of regulations. Mask even. That's what's kicking it in for me too, because the Jacksonville Jaguars are a football team. Jaguars are a football team that play in the NFL in Florida, and they were interviewing a new potential head coach, and he flew off of like their private plane and landed in Florida. And when he landed, like he was being escorted off the plane, and a bunch of people were like, "Oh, where's his mask? Where's his mask?" And then it was like, "You don't have to wear a mask in Florida," so he's not wearing a mask.
Oh.
So that's very interesting. Especially, it's even more interesting considering, again, like what was the question you started off with? Like, would COVID be a storyline? And, Drew McIntyre just got COVID. And it's interesting that they go to a hotspot like that and will allow people, I assume, in attendance in a state that doesn't observe COVID as a thing. Almost as those people who are like don't recognize that Christmas is a holiday. Like, I choose not to participate. It's the same thing with COVID for Florida. I choose not to believe in that.
I think the practices are a little bit off across the board. And, you can look at WWE, and obviously now that Drew McIntyre has had COVID, and it's not like he hasn't been in close proximity to a lot of the roster, but his last appearance pre-COVID announcement was Legends Week, where he was posing with numerous old men who will definitely be in that vulnerable category.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, ooh, oh dear.
Yeah,
So I'm surprised nothing's come out.
Yeah, I thought of that too. As soon as I heard that Drew had COVID, my initial thought was like, oh, like, because I thought of the Legends Week, I knew that was a thing. And I was like, oh, that doesn't seem...
Because you don't watch Raw.
Good. No, not really. And I was like, that's not a good scenario. And then on top of this, with the announcement, that was the first thing that clicked in my brain. I was like, oh, wow, 3 years out? Like, 2 years out, technically. I was like, that's an interesting announcement. And then I was like, wow, really? We're going, like, back to Florida? Like, oh, and right off Drew having COVID? And, yeah, I guess. And a bunch, like, you being called out before for different things of, like, WWE doesn't, I don't know. There's just been so many, granted some of them are rumors and dirt sheet reports, but you've just gotten several reports and like you've heard different things of like the lack of COVID safety from Vince and WWE and the lack of like testing and things that they were doing. But then some wrestlers have come out and spoken out against that. But then others have spoken in favor of saying like, no, it's not good. We don't feel safe, yada, yada. There's so many weird things going on. And for them to, go to Florida, I don't know. It's odd. But so is Vince, as we've established.
Very much so. Yeah. I am glad though that there's. Oh, I guess it gives you hope a little bit, but then there's always that risk that for the second year running they're going to go, yeah, we're going to have to cancel this.
That's also the thought too, like with how like cases have spiked in a lot of the country over the last several months, And there's different, depending on what state you live in and the type of guidelines and regulations that you have, there's always like different talk of, is your city gonna shut down? Is your state gonna shut down? Like, what about this and what about that? And there's so much drama around it. And as we come off of holiday time, I would imagine cases will go up even more to a decent degree. And yeah, what does that look like? Committing yourself to a hard date in a location that isn't like the Performance Center or some rented out venue where they're going to do Thunderdome stuff. That's also another thing, because if it gets worse again and does get bad, although again, the hope is, with the vaccine and all these different things, like it won't get as bad, yada, yada, so on and so forth. But again, to your point, like how do you retrack or retread if there is another spike and things get bad? Like, do you feel like you're boxed in and you have to hold to this thing you've committed to, or do you get out of it again? Either way, it's like it's a volatile situation for sure, and making an announcement like this.
Yeah, but I guess if there is a fallback, I would rather it be in the Thunderdome, which is kind of giving us a little bit of normality. I know obviously it's just boards of people's faces, but at least it's in an arena rather than a closed off performance center. So if there is a fallback, at least we know it's not going to look terrible. And they could probably get a pirate ship in there,
That's true. They could do that.
I just want a pirate ship. Just give me a pirate ship. And Johnny Depp.
Yeah, you like pirates. It makes
sense.
All I want.
It's all I want.
You're a nautical man.
And interestingly enough, with the announcement, it came that WrestleMania was going to be over 2 nights again. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't like the 2-night. I do,
and I don't.
I like it because the idea of it being a single day event, where how it's progressed to like a 17-hour pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's why.
For one day is way too much like that. So if the options are having one very long event or 2 separate shows, I'd rather have 2 separate shows. That being said, I would rather have neither of those. I would rather just have a really quality 3 or even 4-hour pay-per-view. I don't know why WrestleMania just has to be a thing where we have to throw everything and anything onto the pre-show and to the card and just have so much crap that there's like an 8-hour show. Like, I don't know why that's needed, especially for WWE. Like, you don't need that. You don't have that many quality storylines that need to be tied up and wrapped up at WrestleMania. Like, you're just throwing a lot of stuff together to fill time slots. And I don't think it needs to be that long. But that being said, I would rather have 2 nights than one, 39-hour extravaganza straight. That's too much.
Just a tad.
Yeah,
just a tad.
And then it's even worse if you're like, I feel exhausted thinking about it from my house. Let alone like if you're going there, you got to get there, and like if you're on East Coast time or whatever, like because the pre-show starts at like 4. You got to get there at like noon, and then you're there till like midnight, or at least like 11. Like that's a really long day. And I'm not saying it from the perspective of like, even if you're on vacation or whatever, you're like, like I took like a bunch of time off because I'm going to go see this. That's a long day. That's exhausting. Like, and there's no like reprieve or time to relax. Like, you're just sitting in a stadium seat for like hours after hours. After hours. That's a lot for them. Like, I feel exhausted thinking about it, let alone actually being there in attendance. Oh boy.
And you use a lot of energy in the crowd as well, having a show.
Yeah, especially when you're getting hyped and get excited, and then you can obviously take a nap during like Nia Jax's match whenever that comes on. But that's only going to be like 15 minutes. You're still going to be tired when you wake up. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, for that reason, I am happy that it's 2 nights. But it's kind of that WrestleMania is a one-show thing. And and to your point, it is very much a case of, why don't you do a 4 or 5 hour show instead of the 16, 24-hour bloody marathon viewing that everybody has to contend with?
Yeah, I don't... and before anybody calls me like negative Nancy or any type of negative connotation, I also feel the same way towards Wrestle Kingdom and the 2 nights that are used for Wrestle Kingdom. Although I like it much better because New Japan is amazing, and both nights of Wrestle Kingdom have been fantastic for the last 2 years that they've done it. But even that, I'm also just kind of like, well, I'd rather you just do 1 6-hour show.
Yeah, we like we like the one shows on this show.
I like it. I just think it takes it takes away from something in some regard. You know, if that kind of like makes sense, like I feel like it takes away from the finality of it when you have like one full show. I feel like it puts like a to be continued on the first part, which isn't bad, but I just feel like it should be, if it's really like the grandest stage and the end thing, I feel like your end thing should be all in one shot. Like you wouldn't take, you know, the Champions League final or the Super Bowl and be like, all right, it's halftime. We'll see you next week for the second half. You'd be like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, no, we get like a little intermission now and then we finish. Nope. Second half comes tomorrow night. You'd be like, what? Yeah, it takes a little away from me, but I understand.
I don't know if it's just because of the situation that we're in, rather than a thing that's going to be a constant from here on out. I hope it's not. I hope it's not a constant because, you know...
It's only been this year then and last year, right?
Yeah. Although I believe... Oh, no. Was this the first time it was over 2 nights?
Yeah, because I think last year's Mania was pandemic.
Yeah.
The year before, wasn't 2019? I think that was Becky Lynch, the women's main event, right?
New York.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was the... Yeah, that was
very long.
Yep, because I was living in New York and we had discussed... That's why it was so prevalent in my brain, because we had discussed going, me and several of my friends, and then it was like, no, we just don't... Well, one, we knew the public transit coming out of the stadium there at MetLife was going to be a nightmare, and it was. You had people trapped there for like 2-3 hours after the show. It was a nightmare like we thought it was going to be. But also, yeah, that idea of... Because we knew some people who went, and they got there, like what the example I gave before, like that's what they did. Like they wanted to be able to like shop and see the venue and see different things. So they got there at like 1 in the afternoon, 1:30, because the pre-show started at like 4 or like 3. And then, yeah, the show went until I think the women's main event with Becky and Charlotte and Ronda ended at like 11:59 or like 12:01. Like that's just a monster of a day. And then you got to take the train back to the city and then still get to your hotel. Gah. Unless you want to take an Uber and then be trapped in traffic for another oh god, what a nightmare.
Better them than us. Although I still would have liked to have gone to a WrestleMania, but you know,
I'll get to one someday. If they get their product better, I would consider it. But yeah, I just don't. But again, that's the whole point. Like even me thinking of going, like I don't.
You're exhausted.
Yeah, you're exhausted. And even if it's 2 nights, like, do I really want to sit through like 8 hours of WWE live, like 2 nights in a row? Like, that's a big...
Yeah.
Oof, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So
but moving on. And you'll like this. Because I know you've liked it the last 2 times I've attempted this. I had my 3rd AEW first impression.
What's AEW?
Week. I don't know.
Never heard of it.
I think it was just some like vet show or something like that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It was nice. It was nice. I make no secret of it. Throughout the year or however long AEW's been going now, it's been stop start. I've been trying to get into it, and then
snap,
in out. And I just couldn't engross myself in it, couldn't invest. And I thought, you know what, now we've got this new format and it's going to be something that we're going to be talking about going forward. Of course, like you would probably take the lead on it. At least I want a little bit of an understanding of what's going on. And we did mention it last week. AEW don't have YouTube highlights.
Oh, okay. So you looked into it.
So I was like, okay, so I'm actually going to have to watch the show unless I read the results, which I hate doing. I don't like reading results. I did that whilst I was last at sea, and it was soul destroying. No fun. So I watched the show this week, and I enjoyed it, which is no surprise to me because I've enjoyed the last 2 first impressions that I've given AEW, but obviously I'm going to stick to it. Purely
you labeling this
show.
as your 3rd first impression makes me laugh so much.
It's true. It is true. But I did really enjoy the show, and I think I came back. I came back at a good one. A few decent matches. I enjoyed seeing Pac, our good friend Pakachu. Well, I don't know. Was he injured?
He had a whole bunch of, if I'm correct, he had a lot of like COVID related travel. Can he go? How long does he have to quarantine? When he stays, goes back and forth type of thing. So his overseas travel was difficult. I think it was the same thing with British wrestlers in general, because I know Will Ospreay was having some issues with stuff going back and forth between England and Japan.
Okay, that makes sense. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the opening, and then throughout the show, that there was some pretty cool moments. We had Kenny teaming with the Good Brothers, and got to see Miro outside of WWE for the first time. He's essentially the same. And I got to see a really fun main event. I've always liked Darby Allin. Every time I've given AEW a shot, Darby Allin has always been somebody that has really stood out to me, and this week was no different. Like I've come away from the show going, Darby Allin is a star. Like I really, really enjoyed it. And Brian Cage is a freaking monster.
Yeah,
I get that Darby Allin is pretty light, but good God, like I remember this is the vision I had in my head when I was seeing on this week with Brian Cage doing the multiple power bombs. I had the image of Brock Lesnar doing the very, very same thing when he first came to WWE, doing that to Spike Dudley.
Oh, yeah.
But even like Brock had to grab the wrists of Spike as he was pulling him up. But Brian Cage was doing none of that. Like, he was literally just hoiking him. I was like, how the hell are you doing that? And then just at the very start of the match, doing the suplex catch as he was doing like the tope suicida through the rope. I was like, oh my God, it impresses me to no end when anybody does that. I don't know how that's even humanly possible, but Brian Cage pulled it off. But that was a really, really fun main event. There was, of course, like a couple of moments where I was just like, I have no idea what the hell is going on. Because Penta and Phoenix were obviously involved with Pac because they're a thing. And then they got involved again later on, coming to the aid of Moxley, and I was like, why the hell are they helping him? And then they ended up super kicking the Bucks, and I thought, well, they're a tag team, so I guess that's a little rivalry that's going on there. And I was like,
that one is more of getting revenge on Kenny and the Good Brothers and everything after they beat down Penta and Phoenix last week.
Oh, okay. See, it would make sense if I watched AEW on the regular.
Yeah, they beat down Phoenix in the ring last week. And see, that's what's cool with AEW, what they do, where they like connect multiple storylines and weave things together. So when you had that little Bullet Club reunion in the ring with Kenny and the Bucks and the Good Brothers, it was Kenny and the Good Brothers basically beating down Moxley and Phoenix. And then backstage, Eddie Kingston and his crew were beating up Penta and Pac so they couldn't come out to help Phoenix when he was getting jumped. Thus, that's why you had Pac versus Eddie Kingston, and then you had Penta and Phoenix want to come out and get revenge for Phoenix getting beat up. And then that's also what led to last week the Bucks coming out, because they were just kind of like, yo, what are you guys doing? Like, beating everybody up. Like, we don't do these kind of things. We're good guys. Ha, ha, ha. And then they ended up kind of becoming bad, but then Kenny kind of swerved them a bit and disrespected them a little bit this week. And then Penta and Phoenix have always had a bit of a rivalry with the Bucks and are also maybe a little bit perturbed that they didn't come out and help sooner or didn't do the right thing. A lot of storyline opportunity. AEW is good stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed a hell of a lot more than I didn't enjoy. There was a couple of stupid things that I was kind of like, ugh. But I never expected the show to be perfect. Like the whole dentist talk show type thing was like, what the hell is going on here? Especially that
I think she's funny.
Assistant. I like Britt Baker, but the assistant was like the laugh. I was just like, oh my God, like leave. Just leave.
I wasn't a fan of that.
And Cody came on to say nothing. I don't know. I don't really a fan. But then you had like Ding Dong, Believe Hello, or whatever it was, Bailey's SmackDown segment from this past week as well. So
there's always some kind of misses in something, and it's just a matter of how much do they miss by, and then how much do you like the hits. Yeah,
and I think the only other thing that I didn't particularly like, which was surprising actually, was the Inner Circle promo. I was like, I'm just gonna do an inter-stable tag match next week. I was like, okay, that's gonna be a fun match, but I was like, nah,
not for you.
Not for me. Although I do like Chris Jericho, so I was a bit devastated by that. I thought it was going to be like, oh, here's Jericho. No.
Well, now the big thing for me is, will this third first impression stick enough for you to be able to at least keep up, not necessarily watch every week, although that would be fantastic, but for you to be able to keep up regularly now with AEW so that you know what's going on.
I know, because of how the show, like this show, is going forward, I will keep tabs on it. Whether I watch it every single week, I don't know, but I will know what has happened every week. So I want it to be more of the thing that I'm enjoying it, and that's why I'm watching it, rather than I know we cover it on the show and now I feel like I need to watch it. I'd rather
then it becomes like a chore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the show this week, so at the moment, things are looking good. So and I do have to say, before we move on to the the final topic, I really thought the Sting appearance was really anticlimactic, and I don't think it's Sting's doing. I don't think it's AEW's doing. I think it's probably more of a crowd issue, because if the crowd were there and it was a larger crowd, obviously that draws a massive pop. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I just didn't feel it.
It's also happened for like I don't know how many times now. Like, that's like the fourth or fifth time that's happened.
With Darby?
Like basically like Darby is about to get beat up by Taz's crew, and then Sting comes out, and then Taz's crew scatters, and that's it. Like, that's literally happened a bunch. Taz even referenced it. I think it was this week, or maybe it was last week. Things are coming like blurring together for me, but Taz said it like, I'm sick of this, like every single week, like Sting, you keep coming out and getting involved, yada yada. But that's basically it. At least this week, he did something. He, hit Ricky Starks, and we got to see that. But previously, it was no action, no fighting. He would just come out, everybody would scatter, and then him and Darby would kind of like stand and look at each other. But Sting wouldn't say anything. Darby wouldn't say anything. It would just be like Taz and his dudes like being super annoyed, and then that was it. And that same pattern has happened like 5 weeks in a row.
Oh, and I haven't even seen that stuff.
Yeah,
and it was still
so
very.
For you, that's what I think is interesting, for you to find it anticlimactic, knowing that you don't know what had happened previously. Imagine how the people, unless there are other people who feel differently, which they can, but imagine how the people feel who have seen that same thing play out the last like 4 or 5 weeks in a row.
Don't get me wrong, like it's a cool thing that he's being paired with Darby and stuff, but I don't know.
You just know it's going to happen. Like, I know, like, Darby's going to get ganged up on, and then the lights are going to go out, and then it's going to snow, and then Sting is there, and then that's it. Like, I just know, like, that's what's going to happen.
It's not something that gave me like chills or goosebumps or anything, and that's a shame.
No.
But
and I think with the crowd, actually, I think the crowd might actually make it worse, because we've seen it so many times now. I think the crowd might be like over it, because they kind of like know it's happening, and I don't think the angle is hot enough to do. Because they used to do that, like, not even every single week in WCW, but they did it a lot in WCW. But the angle was so hot with Sting and the NWO that, like, you didn't care. And it worked. And I don't know if they're maybe trying to get at that same kind of energy and that same kind of angle, but I don't think it's there.
No.
And, yeah, the first time it was awesome. Sting's debut was nuts. And I think I don't know if they're still chasing the dragon with that, or it's leading to some kind of swerve or something bigger. I don't know, but I feel roughly the same as you do. Like, I just know, I'm like, oh, okay, the lights are out. Okay, Sting. Oh, it's cool. But that's like it. Like, I'm not like, I'm just like, oh, there's Sting.
Here he is again.
Yep, oh, there he is. Oh, Darby needs to be saved, and here comes Sting.
See, that's just going to be something that I look out for every single week now.
Now it's not going to happen, because I've been like, it's happening like every single week. You're going to watch and be like, where's Sting?
What are you talking about? Yeah,
that's never happened. I've only seen that once.
We'll see how all that pans out. But as we start to wind the show down, because we are aiming to keep within 60 minutes these days, which is a tall task considering the amount of tangents that we go on. Case in point, Harry Potter.
My boy.
I wanted to discuss, very briefly now, but I don't think it really has to go into much depth, because I think it's actually becoming a more obvious thing. SmackDown is now the WWE's A show. I don't care if Raw is the flagship, air quotes. You'll be able to see those. That the air quotes will no longer be me saying air quotes. You'll actually be able to see them on video next week, hopefully, so I won't have to say that anymore. But Raw has been the flagship for such a long time, but it doesn't make it the A show, does it? And I think I actually honestly think that, just like, I know Raw's been around longer than SmackDown has, but I think SmackDown now, with the Fox deal, I would say SmackDown's the flagship and should hold that title over Raw, you know.
My initial thought when SmackDown went to Fox was this should be the flagship show or the premier show. You've got ads for it during NFL games on Sundays and during the World Series and Major League Baseball playoffs when they're shown on Fox. Like, there are big time ads and commercials and product placement being put for the WWE on a major network like Fox during major sporting events in America. That's a big deal in and of itself. And then currently, the best storyline in WWE, and arguably one of the best in all of wrestling, is Roman Reigns. That's on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns, at the end of the day, whether he's hated, whether he's liked, it doesn't matter. He's the ace of WWE, and I don't mean that in like high regard, like he's amazing. I just mean like he's the number one guy. Like, he is all jokes aside, because I know I like make fun of Drew just to annoy you, but Drew is not the face of the company as Roman potentially would be. So also, to me, like, wherever Roman goes, that would also be kind of like the A show in my mind. And then when you combine it with everything else, where it's just been Raw hasn't had anything that stood out. Even this past week, not only do you have the Roman Reigns storyline week in and week out, but then you got the Cesaro Daniel Bryan match.
Oh, great
which
stuff.
was outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kurt Angle's tweeting about it. And, like, when was the last time you had anything of note like that on Raw, whether good or bad? The biggest storyline for Raw is that the champion has COVID. Meanwhile, on SmackDown, you've got this awesome storyline with Reigns that's intriguing and engaging, and then you've also got great quality matches. I would hands down agree with that. And I wonder if that's by design, that they want SmackDown to be better because it's on a more big-time network or big-time channel. But whatever their reason is, yeah, I think it's for sure the number one.
And it's odd because Bruce, I believe, is head of creative or whatever that tag that is that Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff both had, you know, at the start of last year. He now holds both those roles, as far as I'm aware.
Across
both shows. So it's odd that things are so different. Because here's a perfect example for me. Okay, so I'm just going to do this as a throwaway anyway. But Raw, we had, I believe there was like 8 or 9 matches, and nothing went past about 5 or 6 minutes.
Oof.
I don't know if that's, you know, if somebody wants to fact check that and comment at me, then by all means go for it. But I'm not far off. But then you go to SmackDown and you have, like you said, Cesaro, Daniel Bryan, tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
And there seems to be a tremendous match every single week on SmackDown. Mm-hmm. But the thing that really made me go, this is the difference. So Adam Pearce, hang on, we had Goldberg issuing a challenge to Drew McIntyre. So this is all in the same week. We had Drew McIntyre being challenged by Goldberg for the WWE title, which has been announced and is going ahead, obviously, if, you know, COVID doesn't carry on being an arsehole to Drew. Mm-hmm. That same week, Adam Pearce versus Roman Reigns at the Rumble for the Universal title was a thing. Uh-huh. And you were like, oh, no way are you going to have Goldberg and Adam frickin' Pearce challenging for the 2 main titles at the Rumble. One of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. They're your 2 guys challenging for the top belts. No frickin' way. But a little part of you was like, SmackDown's on such a roll at the moment that they, I don't know, I'm kind of trusting them a little bit with this to see where it goes. And then this week, you had the plot twist that is actually going to be Kevin Owens, because, you know, Pierce had done some little bit of jingle jangling on the contract and got Kevin Owens in there and did the whole U-turn thing. That's SmackDown in a nutshell. I feel that if this was Raw, Adam Pearce versus Roman Reigns would be a thing at the Rumble, but SmackDown, no.
That was really good. Like, you had I didn't see SmackDown fully the week before, but I saw the backlash on the internet and social media being like, "Oh, Adam Pearce, this is so ridiculous. Why not?" I know a lot of people wanted it to be Nakamura. They were just like, "What is going on? I don't understand." And then I was like, "Oh, well, whatever." And I was watching SmackDown this Friday, and that was really well done. I thought it was, even that angle was so. As soon as Pearce saw Reigns sign it and then grabbed the mic and was just like, "I've been waiting for you to do that all night," and then he smirked. And then Reigns was like, "The hell?" And then Heyman was like, "What the hell?" And then Jay was like, "What the hell?" And then he does the knee thing, and I was like, "What is going on?" And then I was like, "Oh, it's leading somewhere." And then and then Owens comes out. Even that in and of itself was just, really well done. Like, there just seems to be like SmackDown has, and again, I'm going to give it the Roman Reigns effect. I feel like CM Punk said it all those years ago on the Cole Cabana podcast once he left WWE, that they really only give attention to like 2 or 3 people or 2 or 3 storylines, and then everything else is thrown together like week after week and adjusted and so on and so forth. And everything that they do with Roman Reigns has purpose, it has trajectory, it has long-term booking, which 80% of the rest of WWE content, at least on Raw and SmackDown, doesn't have that long-term booking. So I'm going to say it's due to the fact that they want everything with Roman to succeed. It's just another good example of them doing something really good, and it just happens to be on SmackDown. And I think it's because Reigns is on SmackDown, which is on Fox, and they put more effort, or at least more long-term development into the success of those storylines and that brand.
I'm glad they are, because SmackDown isn't that. SmackDown's the only WWE show in the week that I watch fully without skipping.
Oh wow!
Like, I love SmackDown every single week. Like, there will come a time probably when it starts to peter out a bit and starts to disappoint me once again, but I'm enjoying the ride. It's a lot of fun. And that's not to say that Raw is terrible across the board, because it's not. It does have some good stuff, like the whole Randy Orton Fiend thing. I've enjoyed. I know a lot of people have been a bit fire.
I liked it. She shot a fireball into his face.
But I like that kind of stuff. It doesn't really bother me. It's all sports.
I wasn't expecting it. At the very least, I wasn't like. Obviously, we know he didn't really get fire in the face, but I was expecting it, and it was a cool visual and a cool thing.
And even like, I think it was the week before, the whole cliffhanger thing where he was stood there with a match, and did he drop the match on Alexa? Did he not? And when he trashed the Firefly Funhouse, it was so great seeing him like launch the puppets around the funhouse. I was like, yeah, I dig that. I like that. So there is some good stuff, and the Hurt Business as well. I enjoy the stuff that the Hurt Business is doing as well. It's not all bad, but for every not all bad thing, you have a Retribution, you have an Elias
Goldberg,
Riker, you have Goldberg,
Goldberg. Goldberg.
That's it. To be fair, that could be the only thing, and it would put it
Look
way
at
under.
That. Just in an. I think a good, strong, like bottom of the card, mid card. I believe in a holistic, good show and a good card. But at the end of the day, your main thing, your champion, the face of your show, brand, whatever, and the main event is the calling card of your show. And on SmackDown, we've got Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, which, forget the storyline part, Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. And then on Raw, you've got Drew McIntyre and Goldberg. And then you add in the context, which Roman Reigns and the Tribal Chief and the head of the table and his feud with Owens and the Adam Pearce swerve and all these things versus McIntyre and Goldberg, which is just Goldberg just showed up one day and was basically like, I'm going to get a title shot. And you're like, what? That in and of itself is a microcosm of why SmackDown is the A and Raw is the B. And I don't know if they're realizing that or if they're cognizant of it, but you can definitely feel that change and that swerve. SmackDown is the show, and Raw is really just an afterthought for it's got some cool moments, like you said, but holistically, and again, you got to hang your hat on your champion and your main event and your main storyline, and that's not doing it on Raw right now.
No, absolutely not. SmackDown is the A show, and will be for a while if things keep trending this way, which I'm not complaining about. I'm not complaining whatsoever. And I always used to think that SmackDown had a really bad roster. Very lack of depth, everything. But for the people that they have, they are absolutely killing it. So hats off to whoever is writing that show. Because I can tell you now, it ain't Vince.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'd find it really hard to believe that Vince is like fully invested. Which he should be, to be honest, considering it's Fox and it's, his new baby.
I think he gives more of the general like direction, and he signs off on everything. And then I think he gives more of like, I want Roman to be the champ, or I want this. And then they're like, okay, what if we make him champ like this? And then he's like, no, yes, no to this, yes to this, yes, no, yes, no. Or maybe, I don't know, there's all those weird stories that he sleeps like 3 hours a night and is just always doing stuff. So maybe he is there sitting up at 2 a.m. writing scripts, like, and just trying to figure out ways that Adam Pearce cannot fight Roman Reigns. And the way that, more things for the Mysterio family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least the Seth Rollins stuff is finished.
There
is that. But now we have the Corbin stuff. Woohoo!
Hooray!
Yes. Success.
Great success.
Now we have overrun the 60 minutes that we were aiming not to.
We were close,
however, I was going to say, it's like for us, it's a pretty damn good effort keeping close to 60 minutes. So we are going to wrap things up there. But I hope you've enjoyed our kind of new feel show. I think I've enjoyed this more because we're covering a little bit more and we can, discuss things, a little bit more broadly. And you'll be excited to know that I am going to watch some New Japan next week.
Oh.
I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to watch, but I'm going to watch something and I will talk about it on next week's show.
What? Okay, I like it. I'm not going to get my hopes up. I don't want to have a first impression.
I mean, I never went away from New Japan.
I was going to say that would be the first impression. That would be more for AEW, but I feel like that's true. I don't want.
But I'll let you
gotten
know.
There. You have New Japan World.
I do. I've given them about £35 plus.
I was gonna say,
and probably watched £5 worth of content.
Yen yeah, like you just keep. And Wrestle Kingdom was so good. You got to watch that Jay White promo. You can even watch that on YouTube if you want. But you could. Oh God, that promo was so amazing. Get on it.
Yeah, find out next week.
Stop breaking my heart.
Find out next week.
Why are you doing that? This is the part where like you insert the gif of Padme telling Anakin like you're going down a path I can't follow, or then like Obi-Wan being like, "Don't do it, don't try it. Why are you doing this?"
Hello there.
Get us.
Nice. That's
full circle.
That is noted. It's a full circle. But as traditionally most people do, let's end the thing with some plugs. Anthony, you can have the honors. You can go first. I know you've got some stuff going on.
Thank you so much. I do have some stuff going on. I am Anthony, regular co-host here, weekly co-host here on the DOWPOD. And you can find me on Twitter at pro__ant. Give me a follow on there. Or if follows aren't your thing, I will also accept bags of gold or blood oaths or deeds to people's houses. So I'm down for like interesting trades. And I'm also the host of my own solo podcast called Disguised Coverage, part of the Cover One Sports Network. It details things involving the Buffalo Bills, who are in the AFC Championship in the NFL, which I'm very excited about as a Bills fan and Bills content creator and analysis, and that's doing really well and picking up a lot of steam. You can find that on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, the old Twitter. It's pretty great and pretty awesome stuff, and I love breaking down film and NFL stuff, and yeah, so check me out there or find me here as the handsome co-host on the DOWPOD.
Not even going to argue with that.
Yep,
not even going to argue with that.
Fair enough.
And on the Dits side of things, of course, you are listening to this on the Project Dits podcast network, available across the board on most podcast applications. And I just found out yesterday that we're on Audible. So there's another thing that you can listen to us on. Look at us.
Look at, damn it, you stole it right from me.
I did.
Same thing.
I did.
Look at us.
Look at us. And it's not just us. it's not just us, the Dits on Wrestling podcast. We also have 2 other wrestling podcasts on the network, the Hallway Wrestling Podcast and the Worst Wrestling Podcast. They're not actually the worst podcast, just by name. But I'll let you make that decision. But no, they're a great trio, and the Hallway guys are a good team as well. They were the first people that were signed to this network, after all, apart from me, because us. That was more.
Yeah,
that was more of a default thing.
Were they before me when I joined? Before I was with Cover One?
They were first, yeah, and then you came.
Well, that's bullshit.
You may have been second.
That's bullshit.
But then you turned your back on us, so I'm glad.
Yeah, fair enough.
Imagine your first signee, 2 weeks in, bolting. The pastures new.
But I wasn't your first, and I knew that, and so I trade.
Now that's full circle. That's going full circle. And of course, we have Plus Added Time as well, our football podcast. That's right, Anthony, you heard me right. Football podcast.
Soccer podcast.
Nathan and Dara are on there every single week, giving us the good stuff from the beautiful game. Very, very good podcast. And I'm also a Twitch streamer, Twitch affiliate. So you can catch me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Project Dits. I stream, scheduled streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but I tend to do impromptu streams if I've, got a spare minute. So I'm just like, if I'm playing a video game, I'm going to stream it, might as well. So I'm over there, so go check me out over on that. And we have a Discord that you can join, which, I mean, you coined it.
I did.
You coined it, and I have changed the name accordingly. The link is in the description, as I mentioned at the top of the episode. You're going to find all of our episodes drop within that channel, as well as all the news. So if there's any announcements coming up relating to the DOWPOD or the Hallway Wrestling Pod, any of the pods on the network, you'll find them there before they go anywhere else, as I slowly move away from Twitter. So if you want a more intimate relationship with us, interaction with us, then go to the Discord, because we got a good community on there, and it'd be nice to have you be a part of it. So get across there, hit the link, join. The link should work. I said it to not expire, but these things, technology and Dits. Dits and technology,
not a great pair.
Not a good pair. So we'll see. But click that link and let me know. Do it. Click that link now. Do it. Do it. And apart from that, that is me. Of course, you can find me on Twitter at Project Dits, and also on Instagram at Project Dits, and YouTube, Project Dits. Funny old thing.
Places.
So I'm pretty much everywhere. Yeah, that's me. But that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun this week, and hopefully you'll see us next week. You won't hear us next week. You'll see
Fingers crossed.
us next week if I can pull my finger out, but we'll see.
The war between Dits and technology is
it's heating up.
It's one for the ages.
It's about to go wild.
This is a Harry Potter Voldemort scenario. They don't like this. They're like one. Both cannot live while the other survives, or whatever the prophecy says. So it's got to be one or the other.
Yeah, I think I know who's going to win.
Technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you on the audio only next week.
Yeah, you won't see us next week. As is the new tradition on the DOWPOD, Anthony will close things out with a heartfelt message, as he does every single week. Anthony, what have you got for us this time?
First real episode, as I mentioned, the maiden voyage, and with that, I wanted to read you a poem from an unpublished author, an anonymous author, and it's a haiku, so bear with me as I read it. Goodbye.